Hafide, and welcome back to D14 Tonight. Joining me now live in studio are more of your senatorial candidates, Republican Val Perez and Democrat former Senator Adolfo Palacios. Remember, if you've got a question, you can call 632-TALK. That is 632-8255. But first, we're going to start with giving you guys some opening comments. You have 1 minute, and we'll start with you, Senator Palacios.
Thank you, Sabrina, and thank you, KUAM, and thank you for the people of Guam for tuning in to listen to the candidates. My name is, of course, Adolfo Palacios. I served 8 consecutive years as a senator, 28, 29, 30, and 31st Guam legislature. I was not successful for my 5th term. I came in number 16, but I am running again to see if I can pursue some of the things, some of the programs that I introduced but did not make the session floor due to competing priorities and lack of fundings, I guess. So those would be the interesting issues that I will bring up, especially with respect to public safety, of course, and law enforcement. And of course, I hope that the people of Guam would consider me and return a retired cop back to the legislature. Thank you.
Val?
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having us on. My name is Valentino Perez. Most people know me by Val, and I'm a concerned citizen. I'm a former businessman. I've got a master's degree in business administration, in corporate finance and investment banking from the University of Wisconsin. I've worked with Merrill Lynch as a financial advisor, also did some banking with Bank of Hawaii. I understand that most of the candidates, in fact, nearly all the candidates, they have a particular platform. My only platform, my only promise is to try to get the legislature to act fiscally responsibly. I want to be the watchdog for finance and economics. The only reason why I'm running is because I am a concerned citizen. This most definitely is not a career move for me, right. But I'm hoping a one and done.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you talked about finances because the government of Guam, they have a litany of bills, the bond for tax refunds, we've got the dump obligation, new schools. If elected, how do you see us meeting all of these obligations? And we'll start with you, Val.
That's a fantastic question. And the reason why I say so is because moving forward, it's going to be hard for whoever it is at the helm to get this done. We've borrowed money to take care of our obligations to our people, which I believe is spot on. That's what needs to happen. We gave the money back to the people who let the government use it for several months, talking about our tax refunds.
Right.
But moving forward, we've got to have some sort of tightening of the belt. I'm not going to say full-blown austerity measures, but at least a way to ensure that our cash flow, or in economics, our current account, we somehow get that to be a positive so that we don't need to tap into a fiscal account to manage and meet budget. So how do we get there? That's for all of the government to figure out. The administration along with the legislature, so that they can somehow come up with a budget that does just that. Let's create a surplus so that when we have to start paying back our debt service, we're able to do so without coming into some sort of emergency crisis in which we need to figure out how to prevent a payless payday.
Okay. Senator Palacios?
Sabrina, there's a lot of money out there that's owed to the people of Guam, to the government of Guam, hundreds of millions of dollars. I think that the government of Guam should try and collect those as much as possible. But of course, we need to, hire more revenue officers to go after those delinquent taxes. But the government of Guam is owed a lot of $1 million. Another area where we can actually soften the economic crunch is this government is, I think it's oversized, in my opinion. There are services that I support privatization of, or maybe even private partnership. But there are some services right now that are being provided by the people of Guam that a private company can do equally well without costing the people of Guam. Those are there, which is cost savings, cost cutting, and those areas. See, we cannot control what we can bring in because that's dictated by the market, but we can control what we spend. So we can focus on that, and if we can attack both sides, bring in as much as we can, and cut the expenditures, then you're working on both ends.
I'm glad you asked. You mentioned privatization. What services do you see being privatized?
Well, we versioned already the privatization of the trash collection. There should be probably a private public partnership with the Water Works Authority. Security with some sectors of the government of Guam. I heard that there are ideas thrown to consider security for the perimeter of the correctional officers. I mean the perimeter, just the perimeter, no interaction with the, and those areas like the cleaning of the parks.
Val, you were mentioning earlier about tough decisions that are going to have to be made in order for us to meet some of our obligations in the future. So I guess what agencies or services do you see that should be privatized?
That's a question that's been asked in several different ways to me about what's the magic formula, right? How do you get the government to actually work out well? And it strikes me as something that, yes, we all know that we want to ask our politicians, but as senators in the legislature, you're one of 15. Unfortunately, it is politics. You've got to try to work with everybody else so that you can come up with a solution. I don't know. To tell you the truth, I really don't know. I don't stand as the person who say I'm going to make sure that it's all about public safety, or it's all about education, or it's all about family, because if everybody was to get their piece of the pie, there's just not enough pie. So unfortunately, it's going to require some sort of negotiation amongst them. But with that being said, he's absolutely right. Supply and demand. There's only so much money that can come into the island, and the little bits we do to get it, absolutely, we'll take it. But it's a matter of us spending less. And so if we can privatize, I think that's really the hard decision for everybody, both the administration and all the senators.
Well, it's going to be on the ballot in November. What is your position? Do you support legalizing medicinal marijuana on Guam? Why or why not? And we'll start with you, Val.
Sabrina, unless I can be convinced that the regulation of it would be thorough, then I would not object to that. Maybe I should term it like that. But really, as a law enforcement officer, it would be a nightmare, as it is right now with that bill, if it should pass. Because how do you differentiate between a marijuana that I receive, that I got from the prescription, and the one I grew in the backyard, and then just augment and mix it together, and if I get caught with it, I'll say, this is what the doctor prescribed to me. When in fact, all I need is one prescription, and it will last me forever, because then I will substitute that and probably use my homegrown. And the regulation of it is the problem. And then how do you know that what I got as a legitimate recipient of that I don't resell that at 100% markup? Because I can get it, I can always get it. The control of it would be a nightmare for public safety.
So no, as it stands right now?
Personally, I would vote no.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I meant to say I'll take this one. We actually were talking outside, and we spoke about this. And as it stands is your question, so I'm going to go with the detail. As it stands, I'm torn between saying yes and no. Now, fortunately enough, the job of a public servant, I'm trying not to not answer the question. I want to be as finite with my answer as possible, is to do the will of the public. Fortunately enough, this particular law will be able to see exactly that. Right? It's going to the ballot. It's going to the ballot. So regardless of what I think, personally, it really makes no difference now. If I was to be asked, would you support it, period, just any law, I would say yes. And it just comes from past experiences, and it's not necessarily medical marijuana, but the thought of runs around in my head of recreational marijuana. And it just, you look at the net socio-economic effect, and it does need to be studied, but I think we're cutting ourselves short on that, but it is a way to get in there. The question is also, what supersedes Guam law, federal law? So there's way too many facets.
So I'm sorry, was that a yes or no?
It doesn't matter. I think at the moment,
your vote matters.
Well, no, it absolutely, but now this is going to the public. So on this particular issue, I would say, I'm sorry, I did say it. I'm 50-50 either way. I'm still torn.
All right, 30 seconds, final comments, starting with you, Senator Palacios. Final comments?
Oh, well, I'm offering my time and services to the people of Guam, and I hope that I'll be considered for the 33rd Guam legislature. I missed the legislature. I mean, I didn't choose to not be there, but I accept the result of the votes, and I just hope the people of Guam would vote for me again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Valentino Perez. Which camera am I looking at, by the way? I guess.
This one.
Maybe I'll look that way. My name is Valentino Perez. My stance is I'm a concerned citizen. That's it. I'm a finance and economics guy, and I worry about where we're going. And I want to make sure that at least somebody can be that voice of, not necessarily reason, because everyone has their own, but kind of that nagging voice in the back saying, don't do it, don't spend the money. And I wish Senator Lim Tiaka was still running, because I would love to be by his side and behind him and say, hey, absolutely, there's two of us pointing that way.
Well, thank you. Good luck in November.
Thank you very much.
Stay tuned. D14 continues after this.
Brought to you by Triple J, celebrating 30 years of putting our customers first.